Howdy, howdy, howdy. I might be a bit sleepy during this talk because I did take some melatonins, basically sleep aid pills. Mainly because I got a really early thing to do in the morning, so I really don't have a lot of time to get on here and talk and do a bunch of stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? Greetings, creatures and humans alike. I am MagiQDog, and tonight we shall be learning about... Scribble. We'll be learning about the Hydra. And no, it's not the all-hail Hydra kind of thing from Marvel. We're talking about like the actual Hydra from Greek mythology. Anyways, let's go on ahead and get this started, shall we? The Hydra is a multi-headed serpent-like dragon toad in Greek mythology and also mentioned in medieval times as well. In Greek mythology, the Hydra is a large serpent that resides in swamps, like a water snake. However, the best trait that the Hydra's got is that it's got multiple heads and necks attached to the body. In most accounts, it's told of having 9 heads. But the Hydra is known that whenever one of its heads is chopped off, 2 more will go in its place. As such, some accounts say it started off with 5, 7, 50, or even 100 heads. So yeah, a bunch of heads. There are other accounts of the Hydra having legs, like 2 or 4 legs, and even having wings, kind of making it appear more like a dragon. However, the most common appearance is that of the multi-headed snake. Hydra in Greek mythology seems to be a singular entity instead of being a whole species. As such, the Hydra in Greek mythology is known as the Lernaean Hydra, since it resides in Lake Here's my pronunciation issues. Lake Lerna, near ancient Argolis, city of Argos. According to the myth, the Hydra is one of the monstrous children of Typhon, the great monster of chaos, and Echidna, the half-serpentine woman mother of the Greek monsters. The two born many of the beasts told in Greek myths, from the Nemean lion to Cerberus to the Chimera, and of course, the Lernaean Hydra. The Hydra itself was a feared beast, for it had one of the most deadliest venoms of all and would terrorize villages near the springs of Animal, its home. In the second labor of Hercules, Hercules was sent by King Eurysthesus to kill the Hydra. Hercules found his nest in Lake... Give me a second, I'm having a bit of tongue issues. Okay, here we go. Hercules found his nest in Lake Lerna and shoot flaming arrows to draw it out. The Hydra came forth and attacked Hercules. Hercules used a sickle to cut off the heads, but each time one is cut down, 2 more grew in its place. Hercules, realizing the disadvantage, called upon his nephew, Iolaus, if I'm pronouncing that right, came up with a plan and used a torch to burn the cut runes after Hercules chopped into the heads. This plan worked, and the Hydra was eventually slayed. It was said that the main head was immortal, so Hercules buried it under a boulder. Hercules then took his arrows and dipped them in the Hydra's poisonous blood to have deadly arrows, and thus was the end of the Hydra, at least in the Greek myths. Hydras are strong and vicious serpents with a deadly venom to boot. With Hydras being a large lake creature, it's capable of swimming and traversing lakes and swamps with ease. And being large grant is strong physique with a body capable of crushing bones and a large bite to swallow people whole. But its trademark ability is its regenerating heads. Like I mentioned before, 2 more heads will grow from a cut head, granting the Hydra unlimited amount of biting and hissing heads. Also with its regeneration, it makes it difficult to defeat the Hydra. It's even said that its main head is immortal, killing it as it being nearly impossible. Not to mention the fact that its venomous blood is so potent that it can kill any living creature. There's even an account of Hercules when fighting Nessus got scratched by his arrow dipped in Hydra blood, and he fall dead afterwards. This all makes the Hydra seem impossible to defeat, but it too got weaknesses as I mentioned in the myths before. If you're able to burn and cauterize the wounds, it'll prevent regeneration. Also, like any other creature, it'll get spooked by fire, so make sure to keep that in mind. When it comes to what exactly a Hydra is, you might assume that Hydra are basically just beasts. However, this may come as a surprise to some of you that the Hydra is actually a dragon. Now you might be wondering how can that be the case, as a Hydra and dragons look completely different. But when you look at the definition of what a dragon is, dragons are defined as a kind of reptilian or serpentine creatures. And dragons come in many different forms, from having legs and wings to looking more like a serpent. And Greek dragons look a lot more like serpents, and the best example is the pythons. And no, I ain't talking about the animal python that will wrap around and constrict you. These pythons are Greek dragons that appear like giant python-like serpents, with some dragon features along the head. You also got Ladon, another Greek dragon that is the guardian of the Golden Fleece. And like the Hydra, he too has many heads, with the exact number being that of 100 heads. And speaking of multiple-headed dragons, the Hydra isn't the only kind of dragon with many heads. Multi-headed dragons and serpents exist in other mythologies too, like the Zmei and Slavic Dragons that can come in 3 to 6 heads. Yamata no Orochi is an infamous 8-headed dragon that Susanoo slay, and the many-headed Romanian Balaurs that can have 3, 7, or even 12 heads. So with all these facts, the Hydra is definitely a dragon, just one that lives in lakes. Now we all know that the Hydra got its roots from ancient Greek, as it was one of the most iconic Greek creatures around. However, Greek isn't... Wait, how did I got this typed down? Let's see. However, Greek isn't just... stupid typo. Write down these on the notes and stuff, and it even got messed up. Hang on. However, Greek itself doesn't just have the Hydra all to itself. That's not what it says, but I'm making that up. Believe it or not, medieval times share their own accounts of their own Hydras. And they aren't just a singular entity either. The Hydra is basically told the same as that of the Greek mythology. But the bestiary writers added more to their Christian ideology into the Hydra's description and explaining its powers. Basically put, the Hydra in medieval is used as a symbol to represent sins, and how sins can multiply like the Hydra heads. Hydra is also a symbol of chaos and opposing order and evil, and have relations to hell. Also in the bestiaries, it's said to live in the Nile River with crocodiles, and with crocodiles who also representing evil and devil in medieval symbolism. And when you have those detailed description of the Hydra in the medieval bestiary, it appears to have taken more of an appearance of dragons, having dragon-like legs and wings, and sometimes even dragon heads, to which all also have more symbolic relationship with evil and sins. By the way, I might have butchered that a bit, but y'all get the point. But I also got a comment that the Hydra in these medieval bestiaries is often confused and mistaken with another reptilian creature that lives near the Nile, the Hydros and Hydrus. So take the medieval Hydrus to a degree compared to its Greek counterpart. For many that knows Greek mythology, the Hydra is a single entity that's often known as the Lernaean Hydra, and there is no legends of the Hydra ever having offspring. However, within medieval times, the way they speak of their Hydras, they make it appear as if the Hydra is a species instead of a singular creature. Not to mention the fact that their Hydras have different appearances too. Now, of course, one could say that it's just medieval writers taking the legend of the Hydra and adding it to their own books, and you can't really take it seriously. However, let's say for this session that there are more than one Hydras, and they somehow became a whole species. How is that possible? Well, I have my own hypothetical solution to this issue. For one, the Greek Hydra was told to live in Lake Lerna and being an immortal creature, so it probably lived in that lake for a long time before Hercules came in and slay it. And Lake Lerna is probably filled with other snakes, right? So what if maybe the Hydra mated with these other snakes, and due to its supernatural origins, its genes made the offsprings into pure Hydras, making more Hydras Hydrus, and developing a species. Now then again, one could argue like, come on, just snakes? Really? With the size differences and all? And you may be right on that. However, I will say this. There are other mythical serpents in Greek mythology, like the Typhons that I mentioned before. And unlike the Hydra, there happens to be multiple ones spoken in different Greek myths. This proves that oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So, this proves that Typhons are in fact species wandering around the ancient Greek world. So here's another hypothesis. What if female Typhons mated with the Hydra? And seeing how the Hydra is a superior entity, perhaps its genes override and produce pure Hydras out of the Typhons. And even perhaps mating with other dragon creatures like other than just a Typhon could even produce more of the medieval Hydras with the wings and legs. Then again, one could say the same of the Hydra would have mated with other serpents and dragon creatures, etc. And also the fact that with all the supernatural and magic, there could be other ways to have more Hydras to exist. That's just my theory about it, okay? And I did butcher that big time, so I do apologize. Anyways, the Hydra was part of the most... Why did it type down like this? Anyways, the Hydra is one of the most iconic mythical creatures in Greek mythology, as it is part of the labors of Hercules. Because of this, the Hydra became one of the most recognizable Greek mythical creatures of not just Greek culture, but also in the modern times. The Hydra has featured in many different forms of media, whether it be movies, games, books, and even in the Red Bull commercial. In movies, there's a 2009 movie called Hydra, where the Lernaean Hydra awakens on an island and goes after a former marine and some criminals. Percy Jackson's The Lightning Thief have a five-headed Hydra as a janitor attacking Percy's group. The 2014 movie Hercules, it told of Hercules fighting a Hydra and other monsters to help spread the false legend of the character, in the movie that is. In the Disney's movies Hercules, have him facing the three-headed Hydra as one of his first monsters. We also can't forget about the Nazi organization Hydra that took inspiration of the creature in the Marvel universes. And let's not also forget about the King Ghidorah from Godzilla. After all, it's heavily based off of Hydras as well. In TV series, there are multiple Hydras that came from the original that attacked Hercules and his friends in Hercules, the legendary journey. The series Camelot had author talking about a Hydra once. With cartoons, you got the Disney's Hercules Hydra, like I mentioned before. Marvel's animated series like Spider-Man and X-Men feature Hydra goons. And the adult Fox animated series Krapopolis, Krapopolis. I never seen this show, so I don't know how it's pronounced. But anyways, they have a talking Hydra named Chimera that seems quite useful in the series. With anime and manga, you have Hydras as strong monsters in Skeleton Knight in Another World. There is a Hydra in the Overlord manga. Rudy is fought against a Hydra in Mushoku Tensei. The character Abi can transform into a Hydra incarnate in To the Abandoned Sacred Beast. Good anime, by the way, kinda underrated one. And in High School DxD, the Lernaean Ignition contains the Hydra spirit. Comics and books also feature Hydras, as in the Marvels having issues with the Hydra organization. The Hydra by Farron Melton got the Hydra being an immortal being trying to understand life. And Percy Jackson's books feature the Hydra in the Sea of Monsters. With video games, you got Asian Mythology that's got Hydras as four-legged reptiles that get attack boosts every time his head is cut off. Asian Mythology 2's got Hydra as higher monsters recruited by the Draconians. Digimon's got Hydramon, but more like a giant plant Digimon. Final Fantasy's got Hydra enemies in swamp areas. And God of War's got Hydra enemies to fight against. Even Pokemon's got Hydra-based Pokemons, like Hydreigon and Hydra Apple. there are other games like World of Warcraft, Titan Quest, and Skylanders that's got Hydra creatures too. Even Toys got a character called King Hydra in Gushitsu, and even a Red Bull commercial featuring Hercules and the Hydra. Whew! And now to wrap this all up. The Hydra, a monstrous creature with many heads and poisonous blood, is an icon of Greek monsters and mythical creatures as a whole. From being an entity that gave Hercules a run for his money, to surviving in medieval times to represent sins and evil. The Hydra is a beast that shows the power of regeneration and immortality in myths and legends. So if you ever find yourself in the swamplands of the Lerna area and encounter many heads around you, hope you bring your torches and swords and be prepared for an epic fight and heads flying when you chop them off. And with that, that concludes the Hydra. So what do you guys think of this? Do you think it's got too many heads? Do you think the medieval Hydras look cooler? Would you like to have a poisonous arrow dipped from them like Hercules? Let me know in the comment section whenever I load this up on YouTube. And with that, our creature of the week is pretty much done. And as for our next creature of the week, I'm going to give y'all a bit of a teaser about it. Ooh! We're going to have another dragon-like creature that's going to be talked about. But this one is going to be more of an American dragon. For those of you that may know, I hope y'all are excited for this as I am, because this one's going to be an interesting talk. Alrighty, y'all. Looks like I'm going to have to end this class now, because like I said, I'm going to have to get to bed and stuff and kind of wake up early. So with all that out of the way, thank you guys for coming on this fantastic Creature of the Week stream. I hope y'all has much fun as I did as we got to learn about the Hydra and their many heads. And if you wish to see more of these creatures, check me out on my Twitch page. Also check me out on Twitter and both my gaming and my main YouTube channel as well. And with that, I bid this show adieu. And this class adjourned. So see you guys. So long. Bye bye. Okay, bye.